The Amazon. You know, when you think about it, we see it as the lungs of the planet, this incredible treasure trove of life. It's a land of almost unimaginable wealth, but it's also home to a deep, really troubling mystery. If this place is so ridiculously rich, why are the people who actually live there so poor? All right, let's get into it and try to unravel this paradox. First off, let's just try to wrap our heads around the scale of this wealth. The World Bank estimates that the value of the Amazon standing forest, just by existing and doing things like regulating our climate, is a staggering 1.5 trillion reals a year. That's over 300 billion US dollars annually. We're not just talking about trees here. This is a functioning, high-value, natural economy.
And that brings us right back to the central question of this whole investigation. I mean, with that kind of natural capital, you'd think the Amazon would be a hub of prosperity, right? But the reality on the ground? It tells a completely different story. So, where is all that value going?
Now this slide is where it really hits you. This shows just how massive the disconnect is. These are some of the towns with the absolute worst social progress index scores in all of Brazil. Take a look at Jaquiriaga in Pará, a major hub for gold mining. It ranks 5,566th out of 5,570. This isn't just poverty. This is a complete structural failure to turn incredible natural wealth into even basic well-being for people.
Okay, so to solve this mystery, we have to do what you always do. We have to follow the money. And our investigation has uncovered a series of powerful drains that are just siphoning wealth directly out of the region. Let's trace where they lead.
Our first stop is the formal economy. This is the legal corporate drain where the profits from massive industries like agribusiness and mining are systematically channeled away from the forest and the people who live there.
Let's start with agribusiness. The soy and cattle industries are basically dominated by just a handful of global giants. And here's the crucial part. Their command centers aren't in the Amazon. Of course not. They're in São Paulo, in the US, in Europe. So the profits made from soy grown on Amazonian land get counted and taxed thousands of miles away. The dividends flow to shareholders around the world, not back into the local communities.
Now, in the mining world, the strategy gets even more sophisticated. It's a financial maneuver called transfer pricing. And essentially, it's a perfectly legal way for a multinational company to sell goods to itself at a fake, artificially low price, all to avoid paying taxes where they actually dug the resource out of the ground.
And this breaks down exactly how it works. A mining company pulls valuable ore out of the ground in the Amazon. Then it sells that ore for a fraction of its real worth to its own trading company in a low-tax country, like Switzerland. So back in Brazil, it declares a tiny profit and pays almost nothing in taxes. Then the Swiss office turns around and sells the same ore for the full market price, making a massive profit in Europe, where taxes are much lower. The wealth is basically, and legally, teleported right out of Brazil.
Now for our second drain. And this one is wild because it's not just about corporate strategy. The problem is literally built into national law. Laws that actively prevent Amazonian states from collecting tax revenue that they should be getting.
Just look at the impact of this one law, the Lei Condir. It exempts exports of raw materials from state taxes to make them cheaper on the global market. Well, for the state of Pará, a powerhouse of mining and soy, this meant losing over 35 billion reais in 2 decades. And the compensation they got from the federal government? It was a drop in the bucket. In effect, the poor people of the Amazon are subsidizing global consumers and corporate profits.
You know, even the region's main development policy, the Manaus Free Trade Zone, adds to this drain. Yes, it creates jobs, but it operates on billions in tax breaks every year. And the beneficiaries? Mostly multinational corporations that send their profits back home. So while a factory in Manaus creates value, a huge chunk of that value ends up enriching shareholders in Japan, Korea, or the US, not developing the Amazon.
Okay, next we have to shift gears from the legal to the illegal. Because alongside all this, there is a violent, parallel economy that is tearing the social fabric of the region apart. This is the third drain, organized crime.
In the last few years, a terrifying new kind of hybrid crime has emerged, Narcogarimpo. Drug trafficking gangs have moved into illegal gold mining. They use the gold to launder drug money, and they use their firepower to control huge territories, creating a violent parallel state right inside the forest.
And their growth has been absolutely explosive.
the presence of these major criminal factions in Amazonian towns grew by 32% in just 1 year. This isn't some fringe issue. It's a rapidly escalating crisis for control over the region and all its resources.
So where does all this illegal gold go? Well, it gets washed into the legal market by shady financial firms. Then it's exported to hubs like Switzerland, Italy, and India. From there, it can end up in the supply chains of major tech companies. The gold in your smartphone could have a very dark history, one rooted in the destruction of the Amazon.
So, we followed the money through corporate boardrooms, through national laws, and through the criminal underworld. Now it's time for the verdict. A final tally of who pays the price for this model and who reaps the rewards.
So here's the bottom line. We've identified 3 massive drains siphoning away wealth: the fiscal, the corporate, and the illicit. But they all operate on the foundation of a fourth, underlying issue: a political land drain, where land grabbing and corruption pave the way for every other kind of extraction.
This table from our dossier lays it all out. For each key sector, mining, soy, cattle, industry, you can see the mechanism they use to extract the value, the primary destination of the money, and what's left behind. Mining profits head to Switzerland and global shareholders, leaving environmental craters behind. Soy profits go to São Paulo and the US, leaving land concentration. The pattern is undeniable. The value flows out, while all the social and environmental costs stay right there.
But this isn't just about economics and social justice. The continuation of this destructive model is pushing the Amazon itself towards a physical point of no return. The final part of our dossier is a warning about the future. Scientists have identified an ecological tipping point for the Amazon. If deforestation hits somewhere between 20 to 25%, the forest might actually lose its ability to generate its own rain, triggering a massive dieback. Right now, we're at around 17%. We are dangerously, uncomfortably close to that irreversible line.
And this is the final, chilling takeaway. Projections based on the way things are going suggest we could hit this point of no return around the year 2050. The paradox of a rich land with poor people isn't just a tragedy for today, it's a countdown to a global catastrophe. So the question is no longer just where is the money going, but is there still time to change its direction?